G'day everyone. Here I am in Sydney on this gloomy day with the back end of my house. The roof above it has failed and so my entire bathroom has been destroyed. I'm not insured and that's because being a tainted blood victim we have big problems getting insurance or even getting the money to pay for insurance. So at least my bed is dry. That is a mercy. And on this miserable afternoon as I contemplate how I'm going to renovate my home, if I will be able to at all, I actually come back to this, the more important business of the people who are infected and affected by Australia's deadliest medical scandal, and the people, of course, who've been abandoned. Now, in 2004, there was a Senate committee that examined hepatitis C and the Australian blood supply because, of course, tens of thousands of Australians were infected with this deadly virus as a result of blood transfusions. Okay, and in the 1980s, of course, there were people affected and infected with HIV from blood treatments and blood transfusions. And they made submissions, people made submissions to this Senate committee looking at the Hep C aspect of contaminated blood in 2004. And they made public submissions which were accepted by the Senate. And under the terms of the Senate, when something's accepted as public, it's published. Well, one of the greatest elements of scandal to do with the Australian infected blood scandal is the role the Australian Senate played in the criminal cover-up. You see, what the Senate did was the most remarkable thing in the world. After it accepted the public submissions, it made sure they were never published online, unlike every other public submission to a Senate inquiry. And they made all sorts of excuses as to why that was the case. They said, there weren't enough submissions. And then we said, well, hold on, you published submissions from another inquiry where there were even less submissions. And then they changed it. They said, it was for this reason and for that reason. The real reason that the Senate never published the submissions from tainted blood victims at that 2004 Senate committee was because they didn't want the media or the public to easily peruse the truth about Australia's biggest business. And what is Australia's biggest business? Australia's biggest business is blood and the sale of human blood. Australia's biggest business is CSL. And that's why the Senate made sure not to publish the public submissions of Australians who'd been hit by their deadliest medical scandal. So do you know what we did? We grabbed those public submissions and we're going to give them the light of day. And here they are. Here are some excerpts, from the brave Australians that told their stories, gave their accounts, made public submissions, only to see them covered up by the Australian Senate. We're going to have to get criminal investigation into this. But here we are, and it's on infectedbloodaustralia.com. So please go and have a look at these excerpts from everyday Australians telling the truth about Australia's blood supply, telling the truth about how they and their families' lives were destroyed, by this terrible, terrible scandal that's beset Australians. And as I go down this list, there's one here, there's so many terrible cases, but let me just read you this excerpt here without mentioning the person's name. I'm hepatitis C positive. I learnt this little snippet of information whilst lying on the examination table, obstetrician to medical student. This patient is 7 weeks pregnant. She has D antibodies. Oh, she is hepatitis C positive. When I asked if I had heard this right, this Hep C statement, the good doctor gave me a look of disdain and verified his statement as if to say, you are quite aware of what you have got, you drug addict. I know the above statement reeks of paranoia, but believe me, that episode and many more such episodes directed towards me by healthcare workers for the duration of my pregnancy will remain with me forever. My medical files were stamped with large yellow, highly infectious stickers. I was asked such questions as, are you still injecting? Or are you on methadone? Now, this was a mother, just an everyday Australian mother here in Sydney, and a very nice lady, a good friend of mine. And she was infected through this means. And all of these victims are good friends of mine because I have absolute empathy and understanding for what they've been through. I too was a contaminated blood victim as a child, and the Australian media won't give our accounts because they're all bloody complicit in Australia's biggest business, okay? The sale of human blood and Big Pharma and Australia's biggest company, CSL, Australia's biggest jab maker, okay? Australia's biggest blood products maker. If we were victims overseas, would be helped, but because we're victims of Australia's biggest business, there's no help whatsoever. Please see the truth for yourself. Go to infectedbloodaustralia.com. okay, and go to this section here, the evidence they didn't want you to see, and have a look at these excerpts, okay? Have a look at the evidence that the Senate of Australia, okay, covered up as part of its role in the conspiracy against Australians finding out about each nation's deadliest medical scandal. Now, please go to our bio and please click on that link supporting a Royal Commission. We don't want the Senate looking at this anymore. They've done enough to cover it up. No. We want the Australian courts from here on in. So please support a Royal Commission for the Australian contaminated blood scandal. Thank you.